Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest today is a lightweight MMA athlete with 8 professional fights to his name. He competes on the prestigious Cagewarriors promotion and fights out of SBG Manchester under the guidance of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and former MMA athlete coach Matt Inman, Mr. Stephen Clocky T Hooper. Steve, so nice to meet you, my brother.
Yeah, good to be on the show. Happy to be on.
I should be an MC, shouldn't I, brother?
Yeah, you were a good one. Should come back.
Well, I am. I'm down to cover all of Almighty Fighting Championships because he was Ray were gonna do 12 in a year.
Yeah, I keep seeing his post, but he has to cancel, doesn't he? Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm keeping the foot off the gas. Me when it comes to Combat Challenge, I'm just gonna wait and see because you don't know what's gonna happen with Boris Johnson. He could change his mind again, couldn't he, brother?
I know, yeah. Another strain could pop up. You never know.
You just don't know. So I'm just kind of keeping back there. Brother, first of all, I've got to wish you a belated happy 30th birthday, my friend.
Oh, yeah. The big 3-0.
Big 3-0, brother. Big 3-0, man. That's it now. You know what I mean? We've all matured. So how are you feeling? Are you feeling all right?
I feel younger than ever, to be honest. I think just because I've been like active, like very active throughout my whole of my 20s, like competing in all sorts of different combat sports and that, so that's always kept me fit and making weight all the time as well. And I just feel like I'm really coming into them like prime sort of years. I feel better than ever, and yeah, definitely don't feel like I've aged at all.
It's interesting you say that. I did a podcast with Paul Reed, who's like maybe 50 or 51, and he was competing last year, and he was saying he feels the best he's felt because he's just been consistent and kept going during his years, right?
Key, yeah, consistency is a lot. I think if you can adapt your body to it, then that's what we're designed to do. We're not designed to like sit on couches and watch TV. We're designed to be under like constant pressure every day, and that's forcing yourself to the gym, being consistent. Then obviously your body's going to adapt to that, and you'll have like a lot better lifestyle.
Well, it's interesting you say that, brother, because me and Steve Harrison, who used to run Cage Fighters with Daz Radfelder, because you fought on that show, aren't you, on Cage Fighters as an amateur?
Yeah, it was my 8th amateur fight.
And me and Steve Harrison, we've got a bit of a plan where we go for a walk in the mornings, and then last week, 5 times we went to Scamenden Reservoir to do the steps and to kind of build up. So we're ready to do the 3 peaks in 5 weeks' time. It's just keeping that consistency and keeping going, right?
Yeah, 3 peaks is tough. You doing it all in one day, or are you doing it like over several days?
Brother, one day, man. How could you even ask me that question?
Which 3 peaks? The Yorkshire 3 peaks, or the Yorkshire ones?
Yeah, that's not going to take that long. I think they're saying maybe like
yeah. I've done that one before. I thought you meant the one where you do like Ben Nevis, Snowdon, and Scarfell Pike.
No, brother. Oh,
that's a proper 3 peaks.
I'm not at that level, brother, but it's a start. And like you said, we're just got to keep that body under pressure all the time and just keep moving, right?
Yeah, I think walking as well. Like I do a lot of the walking, and I feel like after fights and stuff like that, it's a good way to like recover your body as well, because it's just that like consistency of being active and that, so it helps create better like bone density and stuff like that, especially in like your limbs and that durability as well.
Well, like for me, I have like a bit of a routine. So I do this walk with Steve, and then whilst I'm at home during the day, I end up doing 100, not in one go. So I might do like 15 and then 10 and then 10. I do 100 deep squats just to kind of keep that heart rate going. And then every time I'm going up the steps, there's a little ledge, which I end up holding like that. And as I'm going up, I just do 1 pull up and then hold on for as long as I can, up there, and let my body deal with it. And it's just keeping that resistance going, right?
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, it's just like activating all them like muscles, for like pulling and stuff. So yeah,
brother, I'm 51, but I'm still ready.
Yeah, that's it. Still young.
Steve, one thing I've got to ask you, brother. This dodgy name, Clocky T. Tell me about this fighting name. How did that come about?
It's quite random, really. Like when I was quite young, when I first started training like mixed martial arts specifically, I was about 17. I was like quite a quiet guy, and like no one really knew my name apart from whoever ran like the memberships or whatever. So then like my coach at the time, Paul Newby, I don't know, he decided to give me a random name like Clock Tower. And then like just over the years, it kind of got shortened to Clocky. But then like we decided to keep the T because like triangle chokes became my thing. So then it's like a weird one, really. It just became Clocky T, and it's like I don't know. When I came to Manchester, I thought it had gone, but then people asked me like, "Why you called that?" And they're like, "Yeah, it suits you better." So like everyone knows me as Clocky now. Like people don't even know like my real name. Some people just know me as Clocky. So yeah, it's just like thing that stuck with me now.
It's interesting you mentioned the triangle. Am I right in thinking 3 of your professional fights you won in the second round by way of triangle, right?
Yeah, my second pro fight I won by triangle. Nearly my third, but I messed that one up. Then what did I do? Yeah, and then my last 2 as well. Yeah, won by triangle.
Awesome, man. Well, it suits you then, brother. So you might as well keep it. It's like Brian Ortega. He's got his T City, hasn't he?
Yeah, T City. Yeah, and now mine's like Clocky T.
Yeah, man. Well, we've got our Yorkshire version, so we're all right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I wasn't really much of like a sporty kid, so I wasn't like trying to get involved in sports straight away. I was more into like video games or and stuff like that. But still, like it can be difficult and challenging. So I was I've always like kind of like challenges and stuff like that. And then I think as I got older, I just thought like I used to like boxing, but I kind of like martial arts as well. And then when I seen UFC, like when I was about 14 or something on TV, I think like I used to watch it on like Bravo channel. And I saw that and I was like, this looks awesome. I thought I've got to get involved in that. But like there wasn't really much around in the UK at the time. Like I did like a little bit of like gi martial arts, like a bit of karate when I was younger, but it was like nothing serious. It was like, it's more to just get your coordination going as a kid and that. It's not like proper fighting and that. They still let us spar on that, but it wasn't like, nothing like what I do now or anything. But then when I got to about 17, I found a mixed martial art gym over in Yorkshire. It was like it was in Cross Hills, which is like in between Skipton and Keighley. It was quite difficult to get to, but it was like a really nice facility, and it was run by Paul Newby, and he had like various other coaches there. Teaching like jiu-jitsu, boxing. He was like teaching like most of the striking stuff, and then he had like other guys. I think he had like Dwayne Harper coming down teaching like jiu-jitsu and stuff like that when he was like a blue belt. And then we eventually had like we had like an instructor called Juan Repinova, which was a really good black belt from Brazil, which showed us a load of good stuff. I think at one point we affiliated with Gracie Barra for a bit, where like Lucio Sergio dos Santos came down, and he was like a really good instructor as well. So we were learning all bits there and that, and then just over time, like I really wanted to do MMA, but I started grappling first. So I went to like a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments. That's where I started to like realize that I was going to be more into like the grappling side for mixed martial arts. So then when it came to time to turn amateur in like 2012, I was kind of confident going in there, knowing that if I got onto the floor, then I'd have a good chance of submitting them. So my career went on like that for a bit. Like I got to like 5-0 as an amateur, and then I think I fought on your show as well, Combat Challenge. That was like back in the day where like me and my training partner at the time, Tom Garrett as well, like we'd go around like just cornering each other on shows. Just both of us would just turn up and that corner each other, have a good night and that. And they were fun times. And then it sort of got to the level where like Tom had got injured and that, and I was running thin on training partners and stuff like that. So I needed to get to like somewhere, that was going to be, like a city gym, like a pro gym. So like I thought about it, and like I thought, like I wanted to get to like the fighting capital of the UK, which in my opinion, I think is Manchester. Like some of the best fighters in the north, have always gone into Manchester and done well. So like so then I started researching on that, and then like I seen like some of the fighters I've been watching, like Matt, Sol, Stapes, they were out of SBG, and then I looked, and then I started reading about Karl and everything like that, and I was like, this seems like it's probably going to be the place for me. So decided to make the move, and then it was everything I imagined it to be. It was like world-class coaching, world-class training partners, like a really good schedule on that, and I've it's been great ever since. And I think I had 3 or 4, maybe 4 or 5 amateur fights, before I turned pro. And then, I've had 8 pro fights since, and now I'm in like, the biggest promotion in Europe. So I know it was definitely like, I made a good decision there. And it's one thing, it's that I've always thought was a good decision in my career to move to SBG, because they've taken me from like already a good level, but taken me to like made me elite now, which is which is the goal. So yeah, I'm happy to just keep moving forward my career now.
For sure, brother. So how many years ago did you end up going to SBG?
It was about 6 years, 6 or 7. I think I'm in my 7th year now. So it was about 2014. So started 2008. I was fighting amateur by 2012, but I had done grappling tournaments and kickboxing and boxing in that time as well. But because they taught everything there at the first place I was at, so I had to go at everything. But it was more to build experience for MMA, because MMA was the one that I wanted to do the most and take as serious as possible. But yeah, then so I was there, started competing MMA 2012, then moved to SBG in 2014, turned pro in 2016, and then started fighting in Cagewarriors, I think February 2019, and that's where we're at now. So just keep going.
Well, I was doing a bit of research on your brother, and I watched a YouTube clip about the legacy of Karl Tanswell, and you're there, and you mentioned Martin Stapleton, you mentioned Saul Rogers was there, along with a few other people that I recognized. If it's all right with you, can we talk a little bit about the legacy of Karl Tanswell? Because although I knew him, I only knew him as in hi, bye, and that was it. And I've had this conversation with people like Davy Grant, Matt Inman, Martin Stapleton, Alex Unlund, who've all had the privilege to spend time with Karl, and they all shared little memories of, what they thought he brought that other people maybe struggled or were not that far ahead, that advanced, to think about. Tell me about your time with Karl and how that was.
So I joined in 2014, and I remember before then, like when I used to go to jiu-jitsu sessions or whatever, we get seminars and stuff off, world-class coaches now and again and that, and it'd be really good. But then when I got to SPG and I started going to Karl's jiu-jitsu sessions, every time it was like you were getting that quality coaching, that this in-depth knowledge that you just don't get anywhere else. And from straight off, I just started to realize, I'd come straight to the right place. His knowledge and that of martial arts and jiu-jitsu was just unbelievable. Straight away I noticed that kind of the knowledge and that was really good. So and then their pro team as well that Karl was running, I remember when I asked if I could come on it, and he was like, yeah, I seem like I'm coachable and I'm keen to fight and that. So they let me on the the pro team, started training on that. And then one thing as well which was really good, when Karl would corner you in fights, it felt like he's behind you because how loud it was and that, and then it just guides you through it, and it just felt easy when you're in there. And that's I just that was really good and that. And then just his experience and everything, there's nobody with that experience and that, and just the quality, the quality of athletes he brought together as well to make that team. I felt so lucky to be part of that. So yeah.
Well, you talk about him being in your corner, and I had this conversation with Davy Grant, the UFC fighter who I think he covers SBG South Shields. He's the head coach there. And I had a conversation with him, and I said, look, when I used to go, because I used to do a little bit of photography at cage fighting, shows, and I used to be cage side, and you could hear Karl Tanswell, his voice would just bellow. Even though there were loads of people there, his voice was so loud. And I was saying to David Grant, I said, man, he had this natural talent, that he could speak.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But what David told me, and I didn't know this, was even though Karl was loud, he actually went for voice coaching because he was so far ahead. So he learned how to project his voice even further. How mad is that, right?
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I didn't know. Yeah.
How crazy is that he would think,
good, though, what can I do?
What's the best I can get out of myself for the fighters, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just thinking out of the box. I've never seen somebody that that knows the game that well, to that sort of depth. So it was like a privilege to be part of that.
you know, God rest his soul, he's no longer with us, and but his legacy lives on through people like us chatting about him, and also the
Yeah.
SBG strand as well, right?
Yeah. He created such a great, you know, like team and that, and I really think it will be a solid team for many years to come.
For sure. And I think Matt Inman was one of the students who kind of was under Karl for a long time, and now he's taken over SBG Manchester, and he's covering that, right?
Yeah. Matt's doing like a really good job. Like, you know, he's taken me into Cagewarriors and that. You know, we're doing really well, coming off 2 submissions wins in Cagewarriors. So yeah, I know I'm you know, Matt's like a really good coach, and I'm very happy to be, you know, SPG.
Well, let me tell you something else about Matt Inman, brother. I did a podcast with him, right? And he was saying to me when he was 17, he went to a gym called Fighting Chance in Batley, which belonged to Neil Hall. You know Neil Hall, the UFC referee.
Oh, yeah.
And he says one of the first people he rolled with was a guy called Carney, and he said it was you. And yeah, it was me. I was one of the first people that he rolled with.
Oh, no way.
I didn't even remember, but you know, brother, I leave a lasting image. And what can I do, brother? You know what I mean? So, yeah. Brother, your last fight that you had was on Cagewarriors 112 against Tom Mearns. Now, at that time, he'd had 9 professional fights with only 3 defeats. Can you tell me what you knew about Tom, what the plan was for the fight, and talk us through the fight itself?
Firstly, like Tom, he's a twin. He's got a brother called Richard who does you know, mixed martial arts as well, and he does like a lot of grappling tournaments. And like I do all the jiu-jitsu tournaments as well, and I like to do them quite regular, just when they were on. You know, just to keep active because I like competing. So I competed against his brother. I think it was his brother, and I don't think it was him. I think I competed against his brother 4 times before, but they're identical twins, so it might not have been. But I think it was, what was it? It was 3-1 to me. So like the first one I had with his brother, you know, like I won on points, and then the second time I triangled him, and then the third time I triangled him again, and then the fourth time we had like a Pantheon match, you know, on Liam Cannon's show. And then I lost that, but he was like really aware of my triangle. So I thought, oh, his brother's going to be kind of the same now. So I thought, you know, I'll have to, you know, it's going to be a tough fight because I thought they were aware and they know what I'm like. And I thought, and I don't know for definite if it was his brother, and I might have been against him before. So I thought, you know, it's a bit of a weird one going into. So I just thought, you know, I'll keep a good pace, and that I don't want to like burn my candles in the first round. So like going into it, you know, like sort of preparation wise, I was just, you know, expecting like, you know, he's probably going to try and strike me, avoid my grappling. So I'm going to have to get him down and that. So we did a bit more wrestling and that. You know, I was getting world-class rounds in, in the gym. So I always know, you know, getting through them rounds and, you know, with the training partners I've got, when it comes fight day, I'm going to be more than ready. So yeah, going into the fight, I felt pretty confident in that. But I just, like I said, I didn't want to burn my candles in the first, so I didn't like the first round. Like I didn't push as hard as I probably should have done. But then second round came out. I felt like the second round was pretty much all my game. And then I was managed to get the triangle again, even though I thought he might be quite wary of it. Although he did defend it well in the first round. But then in the second round, I kind of like I got it from like a weird position where I took him down and then I landed in like his half guard. So like I tried to pin his shoulders to the mat, and then as he was trying to post, because he really wanted to get back to his feet, he wasn't interested in playing guard at all. So then as he's trying to get back to his feet and he like posts on the floor, I kind of like one thing I always remember with triangle chokes is if you can get that sort of like Superman movement on the arm, you can easily wrap your legs around them. So like as he put his arm down, his other one was like coming up to push away. I just seen that, and then I just took a triangle, and then that it tapped, and that was it really. Like it was quite like sometimes I like to fight like that because it was one where I didn't take any damage and then I got the job done like quite smoothly, rather than getting in like a wild brawl, which I've done before, which it's fun, but tactically it's good sometimes to like win like that. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And even though he might have been aware of, one of the skill sets that you've got is the triangle, you were still able to get him. Now, the thing with that is, it reminds me of Khabib, because I was doing a podcast with Craig Skelton and we were chatting about this, where with Khabib, even though people know that he's a wrestler and he's going to grind them, rather than him changing his game plan and focusing too much on the striking. He's just perfected what he knows so much that even if people are aware of it, they struggle to deal with it. And that seems to be the case with the triangle, right?
Yeah, pretty much. If somebody, even if people know about it, they've just got to avoid the guard positions, because otherwise, they're getting triangle. But like my other stuff is catching up, like grappling now. So I just feel like I'm getting dangerous from all areas now. But like the triangle, it's like a weird one. I can just, I've been to grappling tournaments and just all I do is like just try and drag them into half guard, and then like I know that I've got a good chance of subbing him. I've done that against like elite level guys as well. So I know it's just one of them things. Like, so I think everybody really has that one thing that they're kind of good at, and I've just been doing it for so long, and I've just got thousands of jiu-jitsu rounds under my belt. So it's like it's just ready to go anytime, sort of thing.
Well, the thing is, brother, if the rest of your game is catching up, then we might end up having to call you the whole alphabet, instead of just the T.
I know, yeah.
Like Clocky A for, for anaconda, B for boa constrictor, C for cutter, D for whatever. Do you see what I mean? So we're going to have to
just be Clocky alphabet.
Brother, thank you for sharing that with us, my friend. Now, one of the things I want to ask you is, along your martial arts journey, have there been any coaches and mentors that have played a significant role? We've briefly touched on Karl Tanswell, God rest his soul. Have there been any other coaches or mentors that have played a role? And if so, what has that been?
Well, obviously Matt Inman. He's a really dedicated coach, really knowledgeable coach. He's a very experienced fighter. Having him in my corner and having him, being my head coach, that's another like big privilege. It's a privilege to be part of that team. All the training partners that I've got to access, and the schedule and everything, and the professionalism and the management and that. Very, very grateful and very happy with that. So obviously, I'd like to thank Matt for obviously that. Obviously, like Karl, like we said before, we touched on that. Obviously, Karl's like been a massive inspiration. With it, his knowledge and everything, and what he's built and that. Massive thanks to Karl for that, and God rest his soul. And then as well, like my first coach as well, Paul Newby. He taught me like the mentality, which I've still carried on. With me throughout fighting, like the sort of like non-quitting mentality, and just like the way you should train and stuff, like how you should never avoid like hard rounds, and like always be trained, be professional, that sort of stuff, really, like just base it from a young age, which I've carried through. And you meet athletes along the way that might not have had that sort of coaching early, and you can see it like not in them, sort of thing. And I think it helps when you've done it in your teens, especially, and you've had that kind of coach in it, it sticks with you, throughout your career. So thanks for him as well for that.
Now, a couple of times you've touched on jiu-jitsu tournaments and grappling tournaments. Can you share with us what sort of competitions you've entered? Have they been gi, no gi, and how have you done on those competitions?
Mostly no gi, but I do compete gi sometimes as well. So I like most of the time I podium at most comps that I go to, and I always compete, as highest level as I can do. Like the last one I went to, though, in January 2020, I didn't do that well. I got subbed in both matches by guys I probably should have beat, but I was quite tired that day because I was training for my fight anyway. But like I say, I like to use it for that competitive experience. Like I need to know, like sometimes I'll try and throw one in, early in my fight camp, just so I know that intensity, just so I can be in tune with it, sort of thing. But the one before that, I got a silver medal at the British Open, Bradley Oistema's competition in the absolute. So I was happy with that. Beat a really top level guy in the semi-final. I managed to triangle, so I was happy with that. It was like in the last 16 seconds, I think, as well. So that was good. And then the time before that, I went to the Europeans, the IBJJF one in Rome. That was good. I think first round I got through because the guy didn't make weight with us, and then second round I got this guy who was pretty good, and I had him in a triangle which was pretty deep, but he managed to get out because he did that one where they cross the legs over you and then pry themselves out. But yeah, so I didn't podium there. He managed to get out and beat me on points. But I'm definitely looking to do that again. Go to them, best level jiu-jitsu tournaments. And then like I go to all the empires, I go to like try to get to like them other regional ones that they do, like was it BJJ 24/7, try to get them ones, and started doing IBJJF ones as well now. So yeah, when it's all back on, I'll probably be be back at that, trying to do as much as possible, because it's fun, and it's always like a good trip as well.
Have you tried any of Declan Williams that he puts on?
I did back in the day. He used to have it at a gym up in Rosendale, and that used to be one of my favorite comps because it was like good level experience, and you got to like compete against. At the time, it was like, do you remember when like you had amateur A, but it was called like NSAC, and you'd have like guys that competed NSAC there, and I was like competing like amateur B, like with like semi-pro roles, whatever. So then I think, I'll go and roll with them because they were like classed as like a nearly pro level then. So then you always have guys like that there you could compete against, and it was like good for boosting confidence. Like back when I was like just coming up to like ready to compete in amateur or whatever.
There's Liam Can you mention, which is Pantheon. What sort of rule set do they have there?
It's like submission only, I think, but it was weird because like for me, when I competed in it, I was like, right, I'll just get the guy in my guard, and then because it's 20 minutes, I thought, well, I'll probably triangle him in that time. So like I pulled, it was Richard Mearns I was against, and I pulled him into my guard and that, and then like the referee was saying I was stalling, but I'm like, well, I'm fighting for underhooks and stuff, and it's a jiu-jitsu match, it's not MMA. It's like, well, how can I be stalling? And then towards the end, he was like, you're stalling too much, I'm giving it to the other guy, and then he said the other guy wins. So I think like, just don't play guard if you don't want it, It was one of them. I think they were like expecting you to like be trying all sorts of crazy stuff, but I think it's one of them. It's them submission only rules, but it's fast paced submission only. So if you go into that, obviously be prepared. You've got to work hard. Whereas I'm just like lazy, and I went lazy because I'd only just had an MMA fight recently, so I went there like thinking I could be lazy, and obviously it backfired.
Well, it's good that you're mixing it up, aren't you, brother? So you're doing you're competing on these pro MMA events, but also you're getting the grappling, which is kind of like an extension of your sparring, right?
Yeah. Like I say, it's like it's that intensity, when somebody really doesn't want to get submitted, and there's a bit of a crowd and that, especially with like the sub-only ones, because they gather like a little bit of a crowd now. So yeah, it's just good for that.
We're in some testing times, brother, with the pandemic and everything else, and you're fortunate enough to be classed as a professional athlete. How are you trying to keep yourself physically and mentally active and fight ready during these testing times?
It's to be honest, whilst I'm training and that, I'm putting that much into my training. Like when I'm not training, it's just resting and that and chilling, and it's kind of good that I'm not going to go to work and I'm on furlough still for that. So like before I was working as well, so it was like I was doing two jobs when I was preparing for pro fights, and it can be quite draining that, whereas now I've not got that other side draining me. So it's been all right, but leading up to that, when I wasn't fighting, it can be quite difficult, to remain active, because I always think like your mind, it's designed to deal with problems, and if there's not any problems in your life, like having to go to work or whatever, there's nothing going on, then it'll create problems for you. So you just got to kind of be aware of that. So it's just like staying active, really. Like I tried to get out on walks and stuff like that. Started to get into like flying drones, photography, and like taking pictures and stuff like that whilst on walks and that. So yeah, stuff like that, really. And then like when it was like on the first lockdown, it was summer, I got up to the Lake District quite a lot, like just like just camping by like Ullswater Lake and that. So that's quite nice to just to get out in nature and stuff, and have the time to do it. But yeah, obviously, like now at the minute, obviously it's winter and there's tons of restrictions on, so it's not the best. But yeah, I just advise to anybody, like try and get out more and that. Don't be in the house. You're not like it's good to like get that fresh air and like see nature and that. It's good for your body. So, and good for like you don't want to be like stuck on the couch all the time, because that's just going to atrophy your muscles. End up injured and unhealthy and that, and it was it's just going to lead to like a bad cardiovascular system, which is like the main thing you need for good health.
Steve, the other thing is you've had quite a few fights under your belt now. Out of all those fights, is there any fight that has been the most rewarding? Don't have to be one that you won. It could be some sort of adversity you overcame, or some weight loss, or some injury. Is there anything that you could share with us?
Yeah, it'd probably be my what would it have been, fourth pro fight. I fought Ellis Hampson from Next Generation. And it was one of them fights where like I kind of thought, oh, if I take him down, I kind of looked for a submission, it'd be one of them. But then like I came out looking for the takedown straight away, but he was quite strong and I couldn't get him down. And then it was one of them fights where I kind of started to realize that this is not a sparring competition. It was, like a fight. So then it turned into like a fight. And then it was just one of them where I was throwing like wild knees. He was hitting me back. And then it was just like like an all out brawl. But I really felt like that fight, I kind of seen something in myself, which, I'd always wanted to see in that. And I brought that. I felt like it brought the best out of me, that fight. And it wasn't really going to be like, sort of a sporting competition. So just started to get sort of like, really aggressive and that, we were throwing like wild knees at each other, wild, punches, head kicks and that, and just sort of turned into like an all out brawl, complete crowd pleaser. The promoter loved it. It was on FCC. Adam Tay loved it, and that. Like everybody, it was there. It was one of them things. If you were there as well, watching it live, everyone was like coming up to me after going, "Oh, it's one of the best fights I've ever seen," and that. It was like it was a really good booster for like my confidence and that as well, because I was able to see it come out. Like it's easy to think that you want to fight like that, but then when you see yourself do it, you're watching the video back, you're like, "Wow, that's me!" That, and it was a pretty sick experience. So yeah, but then it was one of them as well. Like I was always trying to fight like wild then, like because I wanted to recreate the experience, but you can't recreate it. You got to let it just happen again. So like that's why like I'm back on like the tactical fighting now, where I'm looking to just get in, get him choked, and then get home, sort of thing. But if it has to be a brawl, it has to be a brawl. But I know I can do it if it's there.
So Cagewarriors is one of those promotions that have been fortunate enough to put shows on during this pandemic. And obviously you've been fighting for Cagewarriors. Is there anything in the pipeline as regards to future fights for you on that promotion?
Yes, well, I'm actually fighting in 3 weeks on, I think it's Cagewarriors 120. And it will be against Michal Figlak from, I think it's Trojan Free Fighters. I'm looking to get another win. Hopefully, hoping to get like another submission in a row. That's what I want. I want 3 submissions in a row, so I'm looking to come and get that finish. So yeah, looking forward to it. I'm training hard. Like I said earlier on, I'm 30 now. I'm coming into my prime. And I'm training. My training's going perfect. My rest is perfect. My nutrition's on point. I feel I'm at the right weight already. I'm feeling sharp in training. So, I'm coming for it on, it's March the 18th. So if you've not got Fight Pass, make sure you get it and tune in.
Well, Michal Figlak, I've done a podcast with him. What do you know about Michal, and are you aware of Trojan Free Fighters and who runs it and stuff?
I think they've been around for a bit of time now. I can't remember the name of the coach or whatever, but I think I watched both Michal's fights last live because we're watching a lot of Cagewarriors. I think a lot of people that he's fought recently, maybe underestimated him because I think they have, I think they've done other stuff like Thai boxing on top of MMA, and I think they wrestle or whatever. So it kind of shows in the fights, like strong hands and kicks and like good wrestling. So. I think it's not going to be a mug on the floor. So I'm having to bring up that, that elite level with me, just taking my experience and making sure it comes out my way. So, that's what I'm going to use to win this fight. I'm going to use my experience, to take the fight where I want it to go and, get that third submission win.
Well, interesting enough, because I've done a podcast with Michal Figlak. I've done a podcast with Matt Figlak, which is his brother, who also competes on Cagewarriors, and I've done a podcast with the coach Paul Sutherland, who competed for many years as well. So, and all pleasant people, and just like yourself, they're just athletes and they're out there to display their skills. So it'd be a good match to witness and then hopefully speak about on your next podcast, if you're okay with that, my brother.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Yeah, I think it's a good match. People are excited about it. I get a lot of messages and that, everyone says they're really excited for the fight. I'm excited for it. I think I've had about the right amount of time off as well. It's been a year and that it's been a good time to recover because like I said, I was doing like a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments. I was competing as much as possible. and that. So it's been like a good break for me, really, and that. And I've not been like, I've not been not training throughout the whole thing. I've been, I've been keeping fit, I've been learning and that. And I feel like I'm going to show the best version of myself in this fight. And I'm looking forward to it.
And the prediction is, brother, that you're going to hopefully win by submission?
Yeah, submission. Getting my third one in a row.
You're fortunate, you're on this MMA journey, and you're competing on the Cagewarriors, which is a premiership level here in the UK. If there's other athletes who are a bit further down from you, who've done the amateur and they're thinking of stepping into the professional competing side of stuff, what advice could you cascade down from your knowledge and experience to them?
Firstly, like just getting as much experience as you can, like competition style, because it's easy to think like, oh, it's gonna, you could do that and that, and you'll get to it when it gets to the day. But it's like, it's different. Like, your mind and your body plays tricks on you, when it's the real thing. So like for me, when I was starting fighting, I did a lot of the jiu-jitsu tournaments because it's just like so much less pressure and that, and less chance of injury in that compared to MMA. So then when it come to MMA, it was just like another, like, it's building like steps up, rather than just diving in at the deep end. So like, for me, I think that like just taking it steady and that, and just building it up nice and not like slowly, but like consistently like that, getting the right experience at the right time is like a main thing. And then like get into the right gym as well. Like make sure you're training with the right people and that you're getting the best, get into the best place you can, with what resources you've got, and just being smart and using strategy, to like get your career to where you can go. Like I say, like moving to Manchester and getting to SPG was one of the best decisions I ever made for my career. So like that's one thing that like I'd suggest as well, like just making sure you're at the place that's going to get you where you want to get, sort of thing. And apart from that, just like enjoy it really. There's always going to be days where like you're like, why do I do this? I think Nick Diaz says you've got to love it sometimes so much that you hate it, sort of thing. So like some days you're like, I hate this, why do I do it? But then like that feeling, like you can always, it can easily change where you're like, I love this, like I can't believe I've got a life like this is great, sort of thing. Especially when like when you're young and that, and you want it to look a certain way, and then like, eventually you're starting to see it happen, and you're like, this is crazy. I don't, you think you never get to this level or whatever, and then next minute you're there. So obviously I'm not like saying, I'm at like a major level or anything, but like, I'm climbing the steps, sort of thing. And it's, I'm starting to see, the possibilities and that, and I've just got to keep winning and, stay professional and keep adding them 1%. And I feel like, I can really keep going with my career doing this, for a long time as well.
Steve, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. And I look forward to having you on another podcast, hopefully 3 months from now, my friend.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks a lot for having me on, Saif. It's always good to get on, and I hope it all goes well, and you keep getting plenty of people on, and that it all does well.
For sure. Thank you, brother.